Am I the asshole for asking my ex-wife to stop making my kids jealous and flaunting? So I've, male 38, been divorced from my ex-wife, female 35, for 10 years. And we have 2 kids together, 12 male and 10 male. I remarried a year later while she is still single. I have 3 additional children, female 9, female 7, female 3. I have my sons over every weekend. About 4 years, my ex-wife opened up an online business and she's been making 6 figures, while my wife is a stay-at-home mom and I make $30K to support our family.
Wow.
I'm not very good at math, but that's
30K.
What math do you need to do?
What math? You can't live on it. It's hard.
with a wife and 3 kids.
3 kids, wife, and then he has to pay probably something for the other 2.
You can't live on that on
Wow.
your own.
Wow.
I don't know how he's doing it.
So you can imagine how this difference has affected our 2 households. They live in a gated community. She drives a 2022 RSQ3 Audi.
Sick.
And she and our sons go to 2 extravagant holidays a year. My sons came over this weekend and started telling me and the girls they're going on a Disney concierge cruise in the summer. My daughter started crying, saying, "Daddy, we want to go." And when I looked online for the prices, they're priced at $5K per person. It's been all they've been talking about nonstop. I feel like their wealth is being shoved down our throats when we can barely afford heating this Christmas. It's hard not to be hateful, but I sent her a long text saying, "Stop trying to make us feel less than." I also told my sons in private, "Please don't mention holidays or gifts around the girls." She replied with saying it's not her problem how we feel, and when she does nice things for our boys, that me and my wife are the last people on her mind. Am I reading into this too much, or am I the asshole for saying she's spiteful?
My turn?
Yeah. You or Justin? Let's let Justin go first this time.
Okay. It's your show. Direct.
This one's really difficult for me.
It's a lot of gray area.
I always like to try and guess what the vote is, but I need to think through it a little bit.
Okay, do you want him to go first then?
No, I'm going to think through it out loud.
Okay.
So first thought off the bat is you are split up, and what she does and how successful she is kind of has nothing to do with you in a way, where if she has the money to spoil the kids and go do really cool things, she shouldn't not do that because you are unable to provide that for your other kids. She's not wrong in doing those things because she's providing awesome experiences for your kids that, you know, because she's able to. So you wouldn't be like, hey, don't like take them on things because of X. And then it also becomes weird because I can't imagine being in that position where you're split up from a partner who's very successful and can provide these experiences. And now these kids come and tell your kids this. So you're caught in the middle of a really tough situation.
Yeah.
And it's very natural to be jealous. It's very natural to develop like hateful feelings because your jealousy, you can't control it at some level when you can barely do X, Y, Z, and they're out here like just living the life.
Storytime when I got essayed by my cousin. Growing up, my cousin ended up being a lot older than us, and he always wanted to be around the girl cousins. So that means he always wanted to be around me and my sisters. I was 12, my sister was 16, and my other sister was 17. So we were all pretty young. My cousin was in and out of jail because honestly, I was too young to know, but all I knew is that he was a disgusting person. He got arrested because he ended up essaying his own sister. But before this, I heard from my own sister that he tried to essay her too. Okay, so like I said, he was in and out of jail. And for some fucking reason, my parents had to bring him to my house. Like, I was literally scared of this man. All of my sisters were. But I guess some of the family members had to help out. So he was staying at our house. Alright, so this was 2021. And there was this one afternoon where I found my cousin in my room. And he was asleep. He woke up for 5 minutes and he was just chit-chatting with me. Like I said, I was only 12 years old, so he started cracking jokes, trying to be funny, and I was laughing, having a good time with him. Ever since he was staying at our house, he was being very good, found a job, and even tried to go to school. So he was on his best behavior. So we were cracking jokes late at night, and our parents had already went to sleep. So I ended up sleeping next to my cousin. In the morning when I woke up, I noticed that my cousin was undressed completely. So I was half asleep and I noticed that my cousin wanted to do something with me. What he was trying to do with me, I didn't know much about it. So as I was half asleep, I noticed that my cousin was being super touchy with me. I felt like someone was tickling my part and also my chest. Like I said, I didn't know much about this. So when I went to the restroom, I noticed that my pants were off. I asked him what had happened, and he said he didn't know nothing. I ended up telling his mom, and she was just rude to me and did not believe me.
Am I the asshole for taking family photos to send without my actual mom and stepdad after they took their family photos without me? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I was born to a teen mom. My mom had me at 17. She later married my stepdad and they have my step-siblings who are 9 and 12. I'm 18 and in college now. Before Easter, I was at college and I found out that my mom and stepdad took family photos without me for their cards. My mom said that it was just because she needed them printed out in time and I was at college. But college is only 25 minutes away and I feel like my stepdad is resentful that their family includes some other guy's child. He also described the photo as of close family, and then backpedaled and said I just wasn't as close physically because I'm at college. So I decided to play a little joke. I took my younger siblings and 2 of my best friends to the Walmart photo shop, and we took deliberately cheesy family photos all wearing blue jeans and jean jackets. My friends dressed as my mom and stepdad. My female friend wore a bald cap to be my stepdad, and my male friend wore a wig and a denim dress to be my mom. We took a bunch of pictures with props and picked a favorite of all of us standing in silly action poses wearing raccoon skin hats. We all agreed that my friends looked like my parents when the picture was postcard sized. It was honestly a really fun photo, really different than the serious ones my family always takes. I had it printed out on the cards and signed them with love, the family name. I then swapped the cards in the envelopes my mom had prepared and resealed them with the sort of stickers she uses. Apparently, a couple of my extended family members didn't look hard enough at the pictures to notice something was off and just displayed them. But a few people mentioned to my mom that the picture was funny, which pissed her off because she thought they were talking about her boring photo. A few people mentioned to my mom that the picture was funny, which pissed her off because she thought they were talking about her very boring photo of them all sitting on a picnic blanket with a giant Easter basket. Then my aunt sent a photo of the postcard to the family group chat and said, "This isn't you, is it?" My mom was furious at me for sending out the joke cards and embarrassing the family and also not sending out the cards that she made. I told her that I didn't get why she was upset about being left out of the family photo. Apparently, it isn't a big deal to be treated like you're not part of the family. She said I was making a mockery of her and my stepdad by having cross-dressers be in the photo. I said that I just wanted a photo with my close family just like my stepdad did. And that I consider those friends of mine my closest family. Because I guess that's just something we can choose now. My mom got mad at me for sassing her like that. She told me to leave and I went back to college. Am I the asshole for defending my friend and saying my wife needs to work on her insecurities? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I've been married to Jessica for 13 years and we have 2 girls, 12 and 5. I have a female friend, Madison, who I've known since before I was with Jessica. This has never caused much of an issue because I met Madison through her ex-husband, who is still one of her best friends. And we usually hang out in a group, so Jessica has never felt jealous or threatened. She doesn't like Madison though due to clashing personalities. She feels like Madison and our mutual friend's wife look down on her. But she can't come up with any examples and admits it was just a gut feeling. I don't know what to believe there because other people have told me they felt like it was Jessica who hated the 2 other women. Madison has a glamorous life. She used to work in fashion and married a guy with a lot of money. So my 12-year-old has always been in awe of her just due to the clothes and the parties. This annoys Jessica, but we never thought much of it. Jessica is more of the girl next door and looks down on Madison for some of the glamour. My 5-year-old has been having some behavioral issues lately, so we're working on that, but everyone else is a little tense. Madison and her current husband stopped by Saturday night after attending some sort of gala fundraiser. Madison was dressed up for the gala. Our 5-year-old heard and it woke her up. She saw Madison and said, "You look like a princess, you're so pretty, and your dresses are so pretty, I wish you were my mom." Madison laughed and said thank you, which Jessica thought was insensitive. When she left, she went off about what a bitch Madison was. She's been pressuring me to distance myself from the friendship. I argued that Madison didn't do anything, but Jessica said it didn't matter. Today, she brought it up again and I told her she needs to work on her insecurities.
One of the homes directly across from me installed security floodlights in the driveway. I was awoken at 1 a.m. with my room flooded with light.
No.
I instantly panicked and thought a helicopter searchlight was shining through the window. The light proceeded to kick on and off all night long.
No.
The lights flashing on and off is jarring and wakes me up every single time, even with the curtains drawn. I discovered that it is a violation of light trespassing annoying and nuisance for numerous reasons. I also found a form for submitting a formal complaint, which I completed in less than a couple of minutes. When a coworker had inquired why I had been looking so tired, I told them the full story. They asked why I couldn't just go over and have a conversation with the neighbor first, as they were sure it wasn't intentional. AITA?
Whether or not it was intentional, it was definitely thoughtless. You know how lights work. They are very bright.
My roommate invited a bunch of people into our dorm. One of the girls asked me if I was circumcised. I felt the question was invasive and personal, so I responded, "What's your pubic hair situation?" My question was less personal than hers. It was about a styling decision, which is done on your own volition and easily changeable. I was hoping she would realize she had overstepped the line, but instead she just blushed and ran out of the dorm room. Now my roommate is mad at me and wants me to apologize to her. If she doesn't like having me ask her questions about her private area, she shouldn't be asking me questions about mine. AITA?
I didn't really like how OP tried to rationalize how this question was less personal. In fact, we were just talking on the bonus episode about how much sort of rhetoric there is from men who discuss women's pubic hair.
Yes, I mean, honestly, I would say that women strictly style their pubic hair based on what the men in society want us to do.
Am I the asshole? I made my wife go back to work by lying about quitting my job as well. Let's get into it. My wife didn't like her job. I was telling her to look for a job, and while she was still in her current company, she wanted to take a break from work, but we couldn't afford it right now due to our accidental conception. She's 3 months pregnant. So I made her a resume and applied her to a few interviews. However, she did not attend any of them, saying that she doesn't feel like it and she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. I told her that we weren't even planning this pregnancy, and now we cannot afford for her to become unemployed as well. She didn't listen and just quit her job without consulting me. I was super mad at her. I told her I don't want to bust my ass while she relaxes at home. She cried and said she doesn't want to work anymore. So I told her I'd be quitting my job as well, and then we can both be jobless and homeless with our child. I pretended to quit my job in front of her by sending an angry email to my boss, but instead I sent it to my friend. She was shocked and she asked me why'd I do such a thing. I told her tough luck and went to sleep. The next morning onwards, she got ready for an interview and started attending interviews. Wow. I called my work and took a break of 1 week. Today, my wife got a job and she gave me the news at night while we were having dinner. I then told her the truth about not quitting my job and about it being a way to make her get back to work. She got mad at me and told me I was very petty and that I should have just sucked it up and let her stay at home. And now she's not talking to me. Am I the asshole? What do y'all think in these comments? Oh my goodness. Bro, I don't really think he's an asshole. Like, I feel like that should be a discussion between the both of you. Especially if y'all weren't in the financial, like financially able for her to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't think that was very fair for her to just make that decision on her own to just quit her job. But to lie, the communication is, yeah. But anyway, I don't want to say too much because I don't know. That's a crazy ass situation. But honestly, I'm glad that, y'all gonna be able to provide for y'all's baby. And maybe later down the line, she can talk to you about being a stay-at-home mom after y'all, get everything settled. But dang, that's crazy. What y'all think?
We have the original poster, and then the person that they were talking about in the post found it.
I've been waiting for this day.
Am I the asshole for showing up at my ex's wedding in a pretty dress? My ex and I had a peaceful divorce. We co-parent our 3 children together, and there haven't been many issues. My ex is getting married to Stephanie. I like Stephanie. She has been great with my kids and makes my ex happy. My ex invited me to their wedding, and I was happy for him. It was my day with the kids, so it made sense for me to come to the wedding, was his reasoning. When I arrived at the wedding, Stephanie thanked me for dropping the kids off and brushed me off. We had never had any issues before. I explained that I was going to stay for the reception, and she was very upset. I was confused because I assumed she knew I would be in attendance. It turned out she didn't consider that I would actually accept the invitation. I told her that I was invited, and since I took the 2-hour drive, I would be staying for the entire duration. She didn't like this response. Stephanie asked me to leave, and I stood my ground. She went on to complain about my dress upstaging hers. My ex and former mother-in-law helped her to calm down, and the wedding shortly began. I thought that was the end of it, but later in private, Stephanie accused me of trying to ruin her special day. She is convinced that I wanted to show off and make the wedding about my divorce. She said it was rude for me to not leave after the bride requested it because it was her special day. I told her that I am not responsible for her insecurities and once again reminded her that I have no interest in stealing my ex back.
Okay. I mean, for me, it's pretty straightforward. The one thing I'm still kind of grappling with is the bride asks you to leave and kind of going right directly against that is maybe a tad rude. But here's the thing. This is not just an ordinary guest. This is the mother of your stepchildren.
So I think people were like, okay, your title is all about a pretty dress, right? And so people were asking what dress did you wear?
Yeah. I don't care if she's dripping in Gucci. If you show up and you look, you want me to look bad on purpose? Okay, then don't invite me to your wedding. I'll never over my dead hot body.
It's interesting.
There's clearly another element here. Maybe this dress is literally a wedding dress. I don't know.
So the dress got posted. This is the dress.
Okay.
It's something you would wear to a military ball or...
No, I see the issue now. Very wedding dress.
Very wedding dress.
If you made that white, you'd be like, yeah, I've seen that wedding dress a million times.
So now we have Miss Stephanie's post, who is
the bride.
Ex's partner, the bride, and it's titled, "My wedding was ruined by a jealous ex," and she decided to brag about this on Reddit. "My husband and I have been married for 2 weeks, and I'm already having regrets. My husband's ex has really been making things difficult for us. She makes sure my stepchildren call me by my first name rather than any term of endearment. Our wedding happened to fall on one of her days with the kids. My husband invited her for reasons I am still unsure of. I was aware of her receiving an invitation, but my husband never informed me that she had accepted. She came with the kids an hour later. I assumed she was dropping them off, but she had intentions to stay. She was dressed more elegantly than me, and that felt off, so I asked her to leave. She disrespectfully told me that she would be staying. My husband and mother-in-law told me that she was like family and would not be leaving. I was disgusted by this because it was obvious what this woman was doing. She posted the story on here, but in a way that made me out to be a toxic villain in the story. It wasn't hard to identify myself because I recognized the dress, and she also used my real name in the story. I don't understand why she is doing this because we had been civil with each other until now. And I'm very offended by the way she degraded me in her defensive comments and by the fact that my husband took her side."
Yikes. Is that all she wrote?
That's all she wrote.
"My husband and I are in our late 20s and have been married for 4 years. He finished college with a finance degree and thought he'd go into accounting, but quickly found out that it wasn't his passion. He bounced from jobs and ideas pre-COVID, but nothing really stuck. Since COVID, he hasn't attempted anything and said that after the pandemic ends, there will be a boom of jobs so he can find what he's passionate about. I've been working full-time and thankfully my job became remote. I've been paying the bills and keeping the food on the table. After the fiscal year closed, my work had done really well. We sell medical testing equipment, which was a big product of 2020. I was given a promotion and a pay raise, but also a small bonus. It was exciting because I could finally repair my purse and replace some shoes that were destroyed. When I told my husband, he seemed way more excited than me over this promotion. He went off about how he was going to redo his game area and get new systems. I was dumbfounded and got quiet because I couldn't believe what he was saying. He eventually went out and spent all of my bonus on a new computer. We got into a huge argument and he called me selfish for not being happy that he got to achieve his dream. He called me spoiled for being upset that I couldn't spend money on myself first. I called him ungrateful since I was the only one providing. He got mad and left the house saying that I'm making the money so I shouldn't throw it in his face that he doesn't have an income. Everyone thinks I overreacted to something that makes my husband happy. I've gotten so many texts about being an a-hole that I'm starting to wonder, am I? Part 2 of how my husband spent my bonus on himself. My husband went back to his parents and waited for my apology, which I never gave. Instead, I realized that I wasn't going to treat our relationship like a marriage if he wasn't, and I wasn't going to baby an almost 30-year-old. When he noticed I drained our joint bank account, he escalated things by saying that I was his and I could never leave him because he owned me. He also said that all of my success was his and without him, I would be a loser dropout. His family was even worse because I had already blocked them, so they made fake accounts using apps to hide their number and harass me. They said that I ruined their son's life and how he sacrificed everything to get me to where I am. They also said that throwing him to the side like this was disgusting and I deserved to rot. I provided all of this to my lawyer who recommended I get a restraining order and not engage but just keep the records. I separated our finances completely and changed banks. I told him that my husband is never allowed to access these accounts because I feel like he'd take it all and run. I changed my number and took myself off of social media. Part of me is broken our marriage came to an end over a computer. I must look like a fool to everyone for missing the warning signs. I lost a majority of my friends because they thought I was the selfish one since I was the one with the job. They also said that marriage is for better or worse, and so on. I filed for divorce and I'm picking up the pieces. Storytime about how a stranger disclosed his fetishes to me at the park. I was studying in the park by my house when a cute guy around my age wearing a sweatshirt from my college sat down directly next to me. I thought it was a little odd, especially during the pandemic, so I scooched in the other direction. That's when he started talking to me and introduced himself as Jose, all stuttery and not making eye contact. I thought it was so sweet that he was this nervous to talk to me, so I took the bait and said, "Oh, well, hi, I'm Tamara." That's when he tells me that I have a pretty name and that he'd never guess that would be my name. There was a long, awkward pause as I tried to think of what I could say in response to that, and that's when he goes, "So, what about a walk around the park?" I thought that was really gutsy to ask, but I kind of liked that. I said sure, packed up my books, and off we went. I figured it was the middle of the day, surrounded by other people, so the worst case scenario I could always ditch him if things got shady. We were walking and he was making more nervous small talk. I told him about my interests and background. He was like, "Wow, I didn't expect you to tell me so much about yourself." I wasn't sure how to feel about that, but alright. That's when he asked if he should tell me more about himself since it was almost 3 p.m. I assumed he had somewhere to be and I said sure. Then he said, "Maybe we should have this conversation at your place." That definitely threw me off and things only got weirder from here. Part 2 of how a stranger disclosed his fetishes to me at the park. I thought asking me, a total stranger, to stop what I was doing and take a walk with him was gutsy, but what he just said was sleazy at best. I nervously looked for non-confrontational outs and said, "Ahaha, we're definitely not going to my place." He said, "Oh, okay, sure. I didn't mean where you live, just meant the place, where it is we're going. I'm sure you got something all worked out. Anyways, I can tell you about myself, sure." He was looking around to see if other people were listening and he goes, "See, I'm really more of an ass kind of guy. I have a major spanking fetish, so if you got any skirts or..." I tuned out the rest as I started screaming in my head. Forget the non-confrontational exit, I instinctively went, "Stop, this conversation is over," turning to hightail it out of there. The guy ran after me going, "Wait, what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. The ad said you were cool with kinks and stuff, so I just thought, wow, I'm sorry." Alright, that slowed me down. I'm thinking, did he just say ad? Then he said, "Again, I'm so sorry, and look, this may not be the best time to ask, but am I still getting charged full time even though you're leaving?" It turns out, poor guy was experiencing a touch of pandemic loneliness and hired a call girl off some personals online. She told him she'd be in the park wearing almost my identical outfit and described the features similar to mine.
Story time when I called out my mother for trying to force me to make out with her. I am currently in 8th grade, and ever since I can remember, I have hate kissing my family members. It makes me feel completely uncomfortable, which is reasonable. My mother is 42 and forces me and my brother to kiss her every day. One afternoon, I was chilling in my room, I was drawing, and my mother comes in and tells me that she's gonna go to sleep. She kisses me goodnight, and I purposely kind of dodge her lips because I don't like kissing my family members. She got really upset and said, "Excuse me? This is not how we kiss in our family." She grabbed my face so hard and forced me to kiss her, but basically she was freaking making out with me. She wetly kissed me multiple of times for at least 5 to 10 minutes, lecturing me while kissing me that I shouldn't disrespect her like that ever again. I was so uncomfortable the whole time, and as soon as she left, I started to cry. I cried myself to sleep that night. I told myself that I was being dramatic. I didn't share this story with no one, and the next morning, I honestly couldn't look at my mother's face. I tried avoiding her all morning, including when she dropped me off at school, told her that I was running late, and I just ran inside the school. I swear to God, it started getting weirder. She texted me that same day and said that she was disappointed in me, that I'm basically breaking the family's tradition, and that I'm not showing her any love. She asked me if anything was wrong. At this point, I honestly just wanted my mother to leave me alone. I did not want to share this with my friends because I didn't want them to think I was weird, or that my mother was weird, because honestly, my mother has never tried to do anything weird to us. Weeks go by, and one morning I go downstairs, since my mother did not wake me up, and I think I was running late to school. I run down to the kitchen, and I see my mom and my brother making out. I honestly freaked out and I felt like I was going to die. My stomach and my neck was burning. I went upstairs and I just ran down the stairs, making it heavy so they can hear my footsteps. My mother and my brother separated, and I acted like nothing happened. She took me to school and I told her that I needed to talk to her. I threatened her and I told her that I was gonna tell another adult what I saw her doing to my brother. I told her that I never want to kiss her again, in the cheek, in the mouth, and I better never see her kiss my brother again. She freaked out and it stopped ever since. Story time when I got essayed by my dad's best friend. This story is going to be short because it was sent as a short paragraph to my email. I already asked for more details. If the sender wants to send more, they will. Let's respect all stories. Okay, so one day I was at my dad's house, and my dad used to live with his best friend called Brad. Brad was a complete weirdo. He totally gave me that weird vibe ever since I met him. I was only 4 too, so I didn't really know what was going on. I just remember my mother saying that he was weird and the rest of my siblings. So every time my father had to go to work, Brad would babysit me. The SA started happening when I was 5 years old. Brad would take advantage that my father was at work. He would take me to the bathtub and start touching on my private areas and rubbing my private areas. I was growing up more, and since my father and my mother weren't at home, this is when Brad started taking me to my mom's room, and he started using toys, adult toys. When he started using adult toys, that's when he completely took advantage of me. And this is when I started to get UTIs. My mother did take me to the doctors, but Brad had threatened to end my life if I confessed to my mother or to my father. Not only was Brad using toys, but he was also using vibrators. Basically any objects that he could use to get pleasure off. I started to get more UTIs and my mother suspected something was wrong. She had asked me if I had any boyfriends and if I still had my V card. I told my mom no, and she got very hysterical. She asked me if I knew what a V card was, and I said, yes, Mom, I know what it is. And she asked me when and where and who, and all I could do was start breaking down. I told her that I did not have a boyfriend, that it was someone very close to us. My mother started panicking and asked if it was my own father. After so many times of being completely essayed by Brad, I finally had to confess to my mother because I knew my period was gonna come soon and I just did not want to get pregnant. I ended up telling my mother that it was Brad who was essaying me since I was 5 years old. We took him to court and court said he couldn't be in jail because he had mental issues. Next court day is November 9.
Am I the asshole for kicking my daughter out of my house for being pregnant? I, 45 female, have a 27-year-old daughter. She has 6 kids between the ages of 10 years and 11 months. There are 3 different fathers, and she received child support from 2 of them. She is still with the 3rd one, and they have been together for 5 years. My daughter works part-time, and her fiancé is a chef full-time. They have lived with us for the past year and a half due to getting evicted from their last home. The kids and them have the upstairs bedrooms. There's 2, but that's still crowded for 6 children. They are constantly asking me for help with phone bills. My husband and I have asked for no rent so they'd be able to save up money to get a home, which I do not believe they were doing. I have put up with loud voices throughout all hours and waking up at different hours to cater to children because I love my grandchildren. I never complain to my daughter because I believe family is very important. It's just that my children are all grown up. My youngest moved out 4 years ago, and my husband and I have hopes to remodel. We didn't expect them to be living here this long. Christmas Eve, my daughter gathered us all around and announced that they were pregnant with baby number 7. Everyone was all excited, but I felt dread. That would mean another child in our house, with not much room. I looked over at my husband and could tell he felt the same. We discussed later and decided we were going to have a talk with them and ask them to move out. Last night at dinner, I brought it up to my daughter and her boyfriend, and we told them they have 2 months to find a place because we cannot have another child here. My daughter started crying, saying that she couldn't believe I'd throw her to the streets for having a baby, that this was completely unfair and not enough time. I told her I was sorry. It was painful for me as well, but these living conditions were impossible. She demanded I give her more time or she'd go to the courts. And I told her, newsflash, the courts only give you 30 days. She then said my grandchildren were going to be homeless because I was selfish. She made a Facebook post asking for rooms for rent because she's pregnant and has nowhere to go, and her family doesn't give a shit about her. So am I the asshole?
Am I wrong for not wanting my sister at my wedding since she is in a wheelchair and will take up all the spotlight? My sister, 26, has been in and out of the hospital, and I'm gonna call her Anna. Anna got cancer when she was 15 and was able to beat it, but ever since she's been having growths, and anytime one appears, we're so worried about the cancer coming back. My issue is that she always makes these announcements that she needs to go to the doctors again at the worst possible times. At the beginning, I thought it was just bad timing, but it's happened so many times when I hit a milestone. My graduations, my birthdays, my engagement party, and anytime she makes an announcement she needs to go back to the hospital, my whole family flocks to her. I have had my birthday dinner turn into my relatives flocking to her for the whole night. So I had a dinner party to announce my wedding date for my relatives, and it was going so great and so fun until Anna told my mom she has to go to the hospital. Soon, everybody forgot about the reason for the dinner party and it was quiet. My aunt even stepped in to do a prayer for Anna. So again, another event was taken over. As a result, I went low contact. But she was invited to the wedding. That's in 2 weeks. I learned today that she's been on and off a wheelchair, so she will need to take it just in case for the wedding. After asking if our family was aware and them telling me no because they didn't want them to worry, I let them know they need to inform them. But again, they said no, they don't want them to worry and would not do that. I had enough and told them you need to tell them before my wedding, but again, a no. I then informed them that Anna is not invited. This triggered a whole argument about how I'm wrong, but my point is I'm sick of her stealing the spotlight. And that would definitely happen if she rolls in with a wheelchair. Edited to add that I'm going to do a mass blast to all my relatives saying she's in a wheelchair and unsure if she'll be able to make it to my wedding. And to keep my sister in their thoughts and prayers because I do want to stay ahead of this. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for refusing to pay for dental fees after a kid broke his teeth on a macadamia nut at my house? My friend 39 female June brought her 8-year-old son Steven over to my house today. June and I were just chatting over a cup of tea when there was a huge scream from the kitchen and we rushed to find that Steven had tried to eat a whole macadamia nut with the shell. For some context, the nut is a white nut surrounded by the hardest and most smooth chocolate looking shell you've ever seen. So he'd obviously thought it was chocolate and tried to eat it from a closed Tupperware container on the kitchen island. They were there because I had the intention of cracking them later with a hammer. My friend first got on Steven for eating something obviously not meant for him and took him to the emergency dental. That's where she learned that he had cracked one of his molars and it was apparently quite bad. Apparently, as it's still his first set of teeth, they'll just be pulling it out, but she wants me to pay half. Her reasoning is that it was my macadamia and it was on the kitchen island and very accessible. There is just no way. I would never let this person back over to my house. Now, mind you, I do feel like child-proofing the house a little bit because you do care about your friend, you care about their kid, obviously, is nice and considerate. Like, make sure that there's no, scissors out, make sure there's no knives on the table, of course, like common sense things. But I do feel like no one's thinking about macadamia nuts, especially not somebody that doesn't have a child. From the story, I don't think they do. I wouldn't think that. And everybody's eating the mom up on Reddit about not even watching her kid. I feel like things do happen, mistakes do happen, but trying to put it on your friend is actually insane to me. Like, baby, if you need help with a bill, you weren't expecting to pay that big bill, you don't have the money, you need me to loan you some money, that's a little different. Like, go ahead and let me know that, and I mean, I'll always help you if I can, but trying to put it on me because I did something wrong is insane. I would be more embarrassed that I wasn't watching my kid to my friend.
Storytime. I broke up with my boyfriend of 4 years after the worst day of our lives. And he is calling me to be cruel. Do I owe this man a conversation? About a year ago, I broke up with my boyfriend of 4.5 years. Just a few days beforehand, we had discussed marriage and kids. The day of the breakup, he got belligerently drunk, SA'd my best friend, and then put both of our lives in danger. I won't go into detail, but later on, he said he was thankful that I didn't call the police on him. I broke up with him that night and he had his brother pick him up from my house. He claims he does not recall anything that happened due to being blacked out drunk. Like I mentioned, previous to this day we had a great relationship. But once I broke things off, I realized how toxic it was. I was codependent on him. My only priority was his happiness and safety. I was fearful of him and tiptoed around topics that he was sensitive, mainly having to do with stability, like when would you get a job, when will we move in, what plans do you have for the future, etc. When we broke up, it's like the goggles were off and I was seeing the relationship for what it truly was. The day after the breakup, he was blowing up my phone asking why I had broken up our 4.5-year relationship over one bad day. I asked him for space and we didn't talk for a week. At the end of the week, we had a 20-minute phone call conversation where I explained why this relationship was toxic for the both of us and how we neglected parts of ourselves to force it into happen, like two puzzle pieces that don't fit. By the end of the phone call, we were on the same page and agreed that we didn't need to have further conversations about the relationship. Over the past 2 weeks or so, he has kept messaging me, begging to get back together and bringing up all different ways that he will change. I would reply but keep the message short and to the point, that we would not be getting back together. Last night really irritated me because he said I was being cruel for being short with him and not willing to discuss further why our relationship went downhill so quickly. He also said that he would be blocking my cell phone number and overall just made me feel like crap. Do I owe him a conversation? I can't help but feel lousy about how things ended, even though it was perhaps the most fearful day of my life. Just to let you know about my friend, she is okay and it was not rope like a previous commenter mentioned. It was unwanted touching. After I kicked him out, I went to get her from where we were and we spent the rest of that weekend at her house discussing, processing what had happened. We've had no contact since.
Am I the asshole for reporting the pizza delivery guy for sliding a note under my girlfriend's door? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, male 28, was spending the weekend with my girlfriend at her place. We decided to order some pizza and she ordered from her usual restaurant. When the delivery guy arrived, I opened the door, he looked at me confused, then proceeded to ask where my girlfriend was. I said excuse me, then asked what he was asking. He said nothing, it's just that he's used to delivering pizza to her and this is the first time he saw me, so he thought she moved. I told him she was busy, then took the pizza and gave him money. While I was turning, I saw him still standing. I said, how can I help you? And he said, don't mind me, I'm just standing here waiting. I told him he shouldn't keep standing outside like that, and he rudely told me it wasn't my property. I got angry and didn't want to escalate, so I said this wasn't public property and he should leave. I then went inside and shut the door. 10 minutes later, I caught a note getting slid under the door. I opened the door and saw the pizza guy going downstairs. I stopped him immediately, then read what the note said. He kept calling my girlfriend with her name and said that he was worried about her and how sad he was that he didn't see her this time. I asked if he left the note just to confirm, then told him I'd report him to his boss for this behavior. He said this wasn't for me and I'm not the owner of this place, so it was none of my business. We argued loud enough for my girlfriend to come out. I told her what he did and she told me to leave it alone and go back inside. I said alright then, but as soon as I walked in, I called his workplace and wanted to speak to the manager. I told him what the guy did and he promised to take care of it and said he wasn't working for them anymore. When I told my girlfriend, she got mad saying I shouldn't have done that. I wanted to know if she was okay with what he did. She said no, but she can no longer order from the restaurant as they block customers that complain. I said good, but she said I overreacted and had no right to do this when it's not my apartment. Am I the asshole for asking my sister to stop fostering dogs so she could help me with my kids? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 38 female, have 4 kids, ages 11 months, 3, 5, and 10. I love them all more than anything, but I'll be the first to admit that our house is constant chaos and it can be very exhausting. My sister, 33 female, is child-free and loves my kids and was happy to watch the older 2 or 3 sometimes to help me keep my sanity. This has been extremely helpful and I tell her all the time how grateful we are for her help. The kids used to go over to her house, but right now they can't because my sister is fostering an elderly chihuahua. She claims she can't have them over for the time being because they would stress the dog out. Her dog is extremely frail and timid, so I think this was a fair assessment. But this was the 4th dog she's fostered, all of which couldn't be around my kids. The most recent dog took 8 months to find a home for, but most of her dogs took even longer. When she told me she found an adopter, I knew I could finally breathe again and joked about how I was glad she could babysit again. She then told me there was a second dog that desperately needed a new foster, and that she planned to take in that one as soon as her current dog was gone. So she couldn't do any more babysitting than she already is. I told her about how much I've been struggling since she got the dog, about how little sleep I get at night and how my husband hasn't been helping as much as he should. I then asked her point blank to not get another dog. She comforted me but didn't agree on anything and said she needed some time to think. I know I'm asking a lot, but I don't have anyone else to help me. I can't afford a babysitter long time and my friends all have kids of their own to look after. My kids will always come before a dog and that's a reason I was willing to request it. I've told different people about the situation and have gotten a wide range of heavily biased opinions. I would never demand her to do this if she didn't want to.
Am I the asshole for kicking my pregnant sister and her husband out of the house 8 months earlier than we planned? Let's cease this because this already sounds crazy. The title sounds super bad, I know. Using filler names, so this isn't linked to me. So my sister, she's 40, Sophie is 26, and her husband Ben is 28. Have been trying for a kid recently, and about 3 months ago, her sister confirmed to the family that she was pregnant. I also have 2 kids, my son Max, who's 17, and my daughter Amelia, who's 11. Max is gay, which I have to point out because it's pertinent to the incident, and he is currently dating another girl named Charlie. If I'm being honest, I don't completely understand everything about his sexuality, but I support him unconditionally and try my best to keep an open mind and listen to his problems. I can tell he's happy with Charlie, and they often hang out at the house together watching movies or playing games. As long as they're being safe and responsible, I frankly don't mind what they do, and I've really gotten to know Charlie pretty well with how often he's here. I don't think he's out to his parents yet, so the boys will usually come here after school. We love a safe space provided. Okay. Okay, now on to the problem. So my sister and her husband recently got evicted from their apartment, and they didn't have a place to stay. We've never been close, so I suggested she try our parents first, but she was adamant that she stay at my house since we have a guest room. And if they stay at our parents', they'd have to sleep on the couch. I gave in, of course, because I'd feel terrible if I didn't. And we agreed that she and her husband could stay a year to find a house to get their life together. About 2 months in, I'm honestly surprised she didn't find out earlier since they weren't being subtle about it. Sophie saw Charlie and Max kiss in the living room while she was in the kitchen with her husband, and immediately gave me a disapproving glare. She had never acted overtly homophobic to anyone, so I was surprised when she went full-on freak out. She said something along the lines of, "Why are you letting them do that? That isn't normal." And went on that stereotypical boys are for girls and boys shouldn't be together, blah, blah, blah. And basically super hateful and mean. My son really liked Sophie, and I could tell what she was saying was really hurting him. Oh, and this is where I may be the asshole. I got pissed and told her that she had the rest of the day to pack her shit and get out of my house. They left to stay with a friend of Sophie's, but now I'm getting phone calls and texts telling me I'm heartless and that she's pregnant and and how could I? Should I have let her stay? Honestly, I don't know what to do, but Max looks absolutely heartbroken right now. I don't think he was expecting her to act like that. Am I the asshole? I don't think so, because I feel like you gotta protect your children, period. Like, I'm sorry, but she cannot be doing that in his household. Like, that's his safe space. What do y'all think in the comments? Because, child, Sophie gotta go.
Am I in the wrong for insisting that my niece pays for my daughter's surgery? My niece, Andy, 19, baby, 15 months, grabbed a hold of my daughter's, Kayla, 13, earring at Christmas and ripped it out completely. The earlobe will require plastic surgery to fix to look nice again. It is said to be around $2,000 in the ER, but the nurse said that she can't give me the exact quote and gave me some recommendations for plastic surgeons. The ER trip was a nightmare on Christmas, and it was a 2-hour wait while my daughter was in pain. The whole time I was waiting there, my sister or Annie didn't even bother texting my daughter or me to apologize or to even see how she was. My husband, me, and my daughter are so mad at them, and I want to take Annie to court if she doesn't pay for the surgery. The surgery would be considered elective because our insurance is labeled as cosmetic, and it would come out of our pockets. Annie said that she can't afford to pay for the surgery, even though her baby just walked up to my daughter unexpectedly and ripped her earrings out of her ear. They said it was an accident and things like that happen. I have 3 children, and none of them have ever done something like that, and I would be embarrassed if they did, and I would apologize and offer to pay. My sister called me a bitch for even suggesting that Andy pay because Andy is saving up to move out. I don't think my request for money is unreasonable, but Andy and my sister have blocked me from texting them, and my husband is insisting that if we're forced to go to small claims, he wants pain and suffering added to the surgery bill because my daughter's ear hurts so much and Andy never once expressed concerns over kid's injury. There's been a recent update on the girl in the freezer's mysterious death. On September 8, 2017, a young 19-year-old girl named Kanika Jenkins told her mother that she was going bowling and to the movies with some friends to celebrate her new job at a nursing home. She borrowed her mother's car and left the house around 11 p.m. This would be the last time Teresa Martin would see her daughter alive. It turns out that Jenkins went to a hotel party on the 9th floor of the Crown Plaza Chicago O'Hare Hotel in Rosemont, Illinois. Security footage showed the group entering from the side entrance around 1 a.m. During the party, Jenkins' friends are sharing videos on Snapchat and some of them are even live on Facebook. But it was clear that the girls were not happy. Males were aggressively flirting with the girls even after being told to back off. Around 1:30 a.m., Jenkins sends a text to her sister. This was the last time any of her family members would ever hear from her again. Around 3 a.m., the girls decided to leave the party. In the hotel lobby, Jenkins realized that she left her belongings like her keys and cell phone back in the room. Some sources claim that her friends left her alone in the hotel lobby, while others say that they left her in the hallway on the 9th floor by the elevator. Either way, all of her friends supposedly went to grab her belongings from the party, leaving her all alone for about 10 to 20 minutes. When the group returned, Jenkins had vanished. They searched the hotel trying to find her but had no luck. Between 4 to 4:30 in the morning, they decided to finally call her mother, who quickly made her way to the hotel. She pleaded for help from the hotel's front desk, but they refused. She then requested to see security footage or for security to help her find her daughter, but they told her that only police could look at the tapes. At 7:15 in the morning, Martin called 911 about her missing daughter. The dispatcher told her that her friends could be lying and Jenkins was probably passed out drunk in a random hotel room. He told Martin to go home and relax and wait a few more hours for her to show up. The next day, though, Jenkins was officially reported missing and police began their investigation around 1:15 p.m. on September 9th. Hotel staff claimed that they looked at the security footage and didn't see anything. Police searched the hotel and surrounding areas, but again, nothing. Around 10 p.m., an officer decided to look back through the tapes just in case he missed something and discovered a clip of Jenkins stumbling around the hallways of the hotel lobby around 3:20 in the morning. She appeared to be extremely intoxicated, confused, and stumbling into walls. This is when they quickly launched a team to trace her last steps. Crime Fanatic Friday Part 2, The Girl in the Freezer. New updates in the case. When police retraced Kanika Jenkins' last steps, it showed that she had gone into an elevator and taken it down to the lower level of the hotel where she stumbled out and down the hallway. The tapes show her walking upstairs into another hallway and at one point walking into the men's bathroom. She eventually finds her way to the kitchen, which was under renovation, and the last known footage shows her walking through the back towards the double freezer. The video doesn't show her walking into the freezer, but it's speculated that she opened the door, walked in, and couldn't find her way out again. While the kitchen was under renovation and not in use, the freezer was still running because it was being used for extra storage for food for an upcoming new restaurant in the hotel. On September 10th, 2017, at roughly 1 in the morning, Jenkins was found dead inside the freezer unit, lying on the floor, hair messy with one shoe off. She had been wearing ripped jeans, a crop top jean jacket, and a white bra. The police described her as frozen solid, but didn't suspect foul play. The autopsy came back inconclusive, however later reports said that she died from hypothermia. She also had some scratches and wounds on her foot and her ankle that were exposed from not having a shoe, but other than that, no wounds or markings were found. No signs of struggle or fight were found either. However, people online and her own family think and speculate theories of what happened, as there was video footage from the party and her friends making comments that were suspicious, but there's no compelling evidence to back up that they had anything to do with it. Others say that the hotel tampered with the footage and had something to do with her death. Either way, in 2018, Jenkins' family filed a $50 million lawsuit against the Crown Plaza Hotel for her death. The suit claimed that the hotel was negligent for not properly securing the renovated freezer area and locking it off from the public. Jenkins' mother also stated that if they had looked at the security tape sooner when she was urging them to, they might have found her sooner and alive. In October 2023, Teresa Martin, Kanika Jenkins' mother, reached a settlement of $10 million. The terms and agreements won't be made public as Jenkins' family is seeking to keep the deal under seal, citing safety and privacy concerns.
Am I wrong for ruining Christmas and being upset that the only gifts I got for my family were joke gifts? My family got mad and told me not to go and just stay because it wasn't serious, but I still left and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I had several missed calls and texts from my family calling me names like ungrateful, sensitive, and childish. They said that I ruined Christmas and made my parents upset because I left. Well, the next day, I exchanged and opened gifts with my boyfriend and his family, and one of the gifts I got was the book I wanted. I decided to post it on Instagram story, and not even 0 minutes after posting it, my sister sent a screenshot of my story to the family group chat. They basically got mad at me for leaving and told me I ruined Christmas over some presents. Then they said I owe everybody, especially my parents, an apology, because my mom spent New Year's sad because of my actions. So now I want an outside party to tell me if I'm wrong. Am I wrong for being upset about the gifts and for leaving? Am I wrong for kicking my daughter-in-law out on New Year's Eve for calling me mom? My eldest son and his wife are called Ed and Edna, and my youngest son and his wife are Sam and Kat. For context, I've known Edna her whole life, because when she was 7, her mom got diagnosed with cancer, so I started to help take care of her. Her and Ed were best friends, so it made it easy, but when she turned 10, her mom passed away, so I took over all duties of raising a daughter. Then she started to date my son in college, and they got married later on. I genuinely look at her as my daughter because I basically raised her. Her dad drank himself to death when she was 19. She would spend all holidays and all breaks with us. When they got married though, they bought the house 4 houses down and have been living there. Now Kat is very sweet. She can cook well and we bond in the kitchen and get along great, but I really don't like being called mom by her. I don't like it when people or children call me auntie or nicknames, and I don't mind Edna calling me mom because I do feel like I raised her and earned that title. Now I've talked to her and my son so many times about this, saying it doesn't make me comfortable, but she says that it should, and that it's awkward for her to call me by my first name. This New Year's dinner, she made it a point to call me mom in every single sentence, and I was annoyed. So I pulled her aside and told her to knock it off, and she said it's not fair Edna can call me mom, but she can't. I responded that I raised Edna, so it makes sense. Edna has no other family other than us, but you have a huge family with a mom that loves you. But she said that she feels that I'm rejecting her from the family. So I said, if you feel after all I've done for you, this is the thing that makes you feel isolated, you need help to be grateful. Among other things, I paid half of her college loans and helped her for the house they live in. She said that I'm a bitch and Edna can be my favorite daughter-in-law, and it's creepy that I will babysit pups and not my grandkids because she and Sam will never come back. I told her to get out and be a brat somewhere else, and that's when Sam got involved and dragged Kat away. Kat lives 6 hours away and I can't drive well, and they don't have a guest bed for me to stay in at night. I pay 25% in childcare though. Sam sent me a text asking me to apologize because it's such a small thing and Kat is serious about her threat. Even my grandchildren call me by my name.
Am I the asshole for kicking my brother and his family out after his son stole my engagement ring? Disclaimer, this is not my story. The reason I, 26 male, know is because I literally caught him in my room going through my things and it's on camera. My nephew is 9 and has a habit of stealing things. They've gotten in trouble a few times at stores because he'd leave with something in his pockets. But he's a kid, so they usually say he just forgot he had it. Even at school, my brother has had to talk to the principal multiple times. It doesn't seem like they've done anything to stop it. They had to come stay here with me because my brother lost his job and they weren't going to make it with all their bills, including rent. He's doing Uber right now while he searches for a job. A month ago, I finally bought an engagement ring for my girlfriend that I was planning on proposing to soon, but now I don't know. It's a $4,000 ring that I spent over a year saving up for. It's been hidden in my room under one of my drawers. I found my nephew snooping in my room and I told my brother to control his kid. I then got a cheap spy cam just in case. Last week, I noticed it was out of its box. After checking the camera, it showed he was in there again when I wasn't home. My brother and his wife have yelled at him. He says he left it by the TV in the guest room, but it's not there. They looked through all their stuff in his too. I know for a fact he's lying about not having it because that's the same thing he said about one of my watches he took then ended up finding. By the second day, my brother tells me they can't find it at all. I told him either they find the ring or he repays me the $4,000 I spent on it. And if not, they can't stay here anymore. My brother got really upset and said that I know how their situation is right now. It's a tough spot, but I can't ignore the fact that his kid he can't parent took something extremely important that cost a lot of money. They were given a week to leave my house if they don't find the ring. They're not staying at a cheap motel, but my brother won't stop begging to come back. What they're paying right now each night is coming directly out of their savings. He won't stop calling me heartless, and my nephew keeps saying he's sorry. It's just hard right now. Am I the asshole for switching from non-dairy to dairy milk and accidentally making my flatmate shit herself at an interview? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I'm not lactose intolerant. I buy hazelnut milk because I like to have hazelnut syrup in my coffee. And adding hazelnut milk makes it even more nutty. My flatmate is severely lactose intolerant and has been drinking my milk ever since she moved in a few months ago. I don't have an issue with sharing milk with her, but the issue is that she drinks so much of it. I'll only get a single cup of coffee out of an entire carton. Sometimes she'll drink the entire carton before I've had a single drink. She never replaces it, refunds me, or even acknowledges that it wasn't hers to drink. At some point, she stopped buying her own milk and I was having to buy new milk daily. I asked her multiple times why she was drinking my milk and said if she does, can she buy a new carton? She would say sorry, she just grabbed the first milk she saw, and that she'd get me a new one, but just never would. She started getting annoyed when I brought it up and would say I was being dramatic when I mentioned how much it cost. Last week I got sick of it and decided to go back to drinking dairy milk, thinking she would buy her own milk, and I thought wrong. The dairy milk was clearly labeled, but she still helped herself. Unfortunately, the day she decided to drink dairy milk was the day she had a new job interview. The effects of dairy-laced coffee she took with her kicked in and she was in the middle of it and she didn't make it in time. She came home absolutely furious and laid on to me about how I ruined her life. How this job was an opportunity that she needed and I destroyed it for her by being selfish. Also that I did it deliberately because I didn't want to share. She thinks I'm in the wrong because I knew she was lactose intolerant. So by switching to dairy milk when I knew she was drinking my milk and might potentially drink it again, I was putting her at risk. Also that milk sharing isn't a big deal and that I'm selfish. She thinks I was overreacting and I should have spoken to her about it instead of secretly changing milks. She has also threatened to report me to the police.
My husband suddenly decided that he doesn't want any more children. She is 30 and he is 36. Let's get into it. My husband has one young son who I have raised and considered my own. When we were dating and all through our relationship, he said he wanted at least 2 more children to give our son some siblings. We started trying to get pregnant early this year. We got pregnant and suddenly he changed. He wasn't excited and said that it was definitely our last and didn't want to announce it publicly. Unfortunately, that pregnancy ended in a miscarriage. Oh man. He is now saying that he doesn't want to try again. And this is now my chance to leave him before I end up stuck and unhappy forever. Frankly, I'm stuck and I love him. And leaving him means leaving our son too. It feels like both staying and leaving would ruin my life in different ways. Bro, damn, I feel for sis because it's like, for real. Like, I don't know how long they've been together. I don't think she said that at all in the post. No, she didn't. But like, for real, like, honestly, like, why did he put that on her? Why did he put that on her? I wonder what it is. It sounds like something deeper. It's definitely some things that he is not saying, because what changed? What happened? You know what I'm saying? But also, I feel for sis because, like, why would you just be like, oh, well, you can get out of my life if, like, now? Not to say that he said that like that, but he did. But like, as if she hasn't raised this whole child that she now feels like that's her child, because shit, that's her child. You know what I'm saying? It's more to that story. It's more. Gotta be. Because what y'all think in the comments? I don't even know. Like, I'm mad for her. I'm mad. Whew. Child, okay. Anyway, what y'all think in the comments? I would love to hear your opinion.